Hey, this is Kevin from Kevin's BBQ Joints, and I am really excited to share this one with you. It's with Derrick Walker from Smoke-A-Holics BBQ in Fort Worth, Texas. You may have just recently heard about Derrick. His brick and mortar restaurant opened a little more than 6 weeks ago in Fort Worth, and he had a write-up in the Fort Worth Weekly, and Daniel Vaughn, barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine, stopped by twice recently and did a write-up in Texas Monthly Magazine for their online edition a couple of days ago. So it seems like they're new to the scene, but he's been doing this barbecue pop-up thing since 2006. And this is just a great story. It's a story that involves his grandfather. It's a story that is heavily involved with his wife and her influence on him, and giving him the drive and the confidence to move forward in this barbecue scene. If it wasn't for her, none of this would be happening, and you wouldn't be able to try his delicious food. And we get into what Fort Worth was like growing up. It wasn't a safe place, and he is candid about that, and he's candid about his involvement in what didn't make it a safe place. So it's such a great story. It's so interesting. Along the way, he's been giving the opportunity to have investors, but he wanted to do this on his own, and that's where his wife's involved and the things that she gave up so that they could have this restaurant. It's amazing. You're going to love hearing about his food, about his take on everything, his take on the barbecue business. It's just wonderful. Thank you, Derrick, for taking the time. I'm so excited to share this with you. And this episode is sponsored by The Smoke Sheet. The Smoke Sheet is a barbecue newsletter that comes in your email box every Wednesday. Go to bbqnewsletter.com to sign up. Super easy. Boom, you sign up. And it's dependable. Every Wednesday you get it. Started by Ryan Cooper, who is at BBQ Tourist, and Sean Ludwig, who is at NYC BBQ. Follow them both on social media. They're doing tons of stuff, always making you hungry via the internet. They started this, and it is chock full of news, original content, a new recipe every week, links to all the hottest barbecue podcasts and YouTube stuff, and everything that's going on in the barbecue world and the events that are coming up. It's all available at the Smoke Sheet. It's bbqnewsletter.com, and that's bbqnewsletter.com. The Smoke Sheet is barbecue news worth consuming. And if you're digging these, why not subscribe? It's what everybody's doing. Everybody's subscribing. It's the thing to do. So subscribe. That way you don't miss out. I have a YouTube version if you're just listening to this on the podcast. It's youtube.com/Kevin's BBQ Joints. You can check out the video version of this one as well as tons of others. And it's great because then you get a chance to see people's expressions and their mannerisms and what they're all about. I think that's important. I also have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. Links to all my podcasts, all the YouTube stuff, everything that's going on. I have barbecue pop-up lists for Texas and for Los Angeles. Check those out. I'm available on all the social media, Kevin's BBQ Joints. But mostly, thank you so much for listening to these. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support. Got a lot of great stuff coming, but this one is extremely special. Enjoy it. Hey, Derrick, how you doing?
Pretty good, Kev. Been trying to make this happen for a few weeks now.
I know it shows that we're both tenacious and that we're willing to make it happen. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
and that probably says a lot about you as a person too. So, did you grow up in Fort Worth?
Born and raised in Fort Worth, actually about 3 minutes from my restaurant.
I read somewhere that you've been doing this since you've been at least helping with barbecue since you were 10. Is that?
Around 12. Could have been closer to 10, but from my recollection, I put it closer to around 12.
Was it your grandfather that cooked?
Yeah, my granddad was the first person that I'd ever seen with an offset smoker on a trailer.
Okay.
And this was way back, man. He had I can't remember. I was too young to remember who built it, but it was a pretty neat design. Like it had a removable top tray. So over the firebox, you could remove the top part of the firebox, and the burners were actually integrated into the firebox. And then he would sit pots and stuff up there, and he could cook. It was pretty cool, man.
Wow, that's awesome. What did he do? Was he cooking mostly brisket and was it sausage and stuff?
Pretty much everything: brisket, chicken, sausage, ribs. It was only pretty much for family functions. Is what he used it for. He didn't do any catering or anything like that. He had a janitorial business and a lawn business back, man, in the late 80s, early 90s. And he was doing pretty much all of the huge offices in Arlington. So he bought it to kind of toy around with, but he loved to do it, and he would do it for family functions mostly. Yeah, we had some property out in Doney, Texas, where my great-grandparents lived.
Okay.
And that's where he would do most of it at.
Fort Worth is becoming popular in the barbecue scene. But what is Fort Worth like, and what was Fort Worth like growing up?
Actually, I've never known Fort Worth to be a big barbecue town. We had barbecue restaurants and But I don't really have any memories of just growing up eating great barbecue from a restaurant.
Okay.
I mean, I actually don't. I've been told by some of my older customers that there was a restaurant, and my dad also told me about a restaurant, Jimmy's Barbecue,
Oh,
and they said this was great. And like the guy was before his time, he was selling out, and this was, man, I had to been 7, 8 years old, I guess, when this was going on. And they
wow.
said he was selling. They said he would sell out before lunch sometime, and it was a privilege if you could just get a chopped beef sandwich from Jimmy's. Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
they said that people would come from downtown and from everywhere to get it, and it was over here close to where I'm at now. And I've been having older customers come here. I had a lady actually dance in the lobby one day and said Jimmy's is back, and
What a cool thing to say.
yeah, I took that as a great compliment.
Do you think that guy was the guy's name Jimmy? Do you think it?
Yeah, yeah. My dad said his name was Jimmy. Said he was a real influential person in Fort Worth,
Oh,
but basically known for his barbecue and just being a pillar of the community. So,
oh.
I mean, I guess that's pretty cool. I said I was going to look him up because we were
Yeah.
just talking about it the other day.
Yeah. I wonder if he's still alive. That would be really neat to get him some food.
No, I think he passed. I mean, I think
Oh,
he was kind of old even back then. From what I told, he was an older guy, and this was way back, man. Like I say, when I was 7 or 8 years
okay.
old.
Okay.
I don't ever remember eating it. But actually, man, where a lot of these guys are, where I am, and where a lot of these guys are, like Panther City and some of these other guys that are popping up, and some of these breweries and stuff. This stuff was, man, gangland and drug ridden back when I was, yeah, when I was coming up, and everything's changing now. You
So
know, so
isn't that funny how people nowadays they'd have no clue probably how it was and
yeah, I get these families coming in here now all the time, man. Like, I mean, more and more. This area was predominantly black. Well, this area was 99% black when I
okay.
was growing up. But I'm getting Caucasian families coming in here now telling me that they're staying. Oh, we just bought a house on Terrell or Tucker or Missouri. And when I was coming up, you didn't go on Terrell, Tucker, or Missouri. If you weren't born and raised there, you didn't go there.
Wow.
And for people to tell me that they're buying homes on these streets and raising families on these streets, it's pretty cool to see, man.
It's really cool, and it shows how things, and that's how it is in Los Angeles, and I'm sure in cities across the United States how things are changing. But
Yeah,
it is an amazing thing because there were places when I've told people I went to San Diego State University, and downtown San Diego was dangerous and bad at night. Like you wouldn't hang out. You go there, maybe go shop or go to somewhere to a restaurant, and then get out. Just
yeah.
wasn't for everyone.
Yeah, so the city had me put in a bike rack when I got here. I was like, a bike rack. And they got bike lanes all up and down. And I'm actually seeing people, man,
Wow.
riding these expensive road bikes and stuff. And I'm like, my, the neighborhood's changed.
Yeah, that's a huge sign right there. That's a huge sign. Oh my gosh, you had to put a bike rack. That's hilarious. So then, growing up, were you thinking I want to go into the culinary world? Like, what was your path?
Ah, man, I've always loved cooking. I've always loved to cook. But actually, like I say, man, my neighborhood was bad. And most of the early part of my life, I was kind of a product of my environment, man. I was involved in gangs. I was doing a lot of stuff, that was frowned upon.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my now wife actually got pregnant with my daughter is when things changed. I was like, okay, I got a family now, so I went to work, and I worked. My first, well, actually, I was already working off and on, but my first job, I mean, I've been in hospital kitchens since I was 18,
Okay.
so I've been in commercial kitchens my whole life, and I always dabbled and messed around with cooking. But I've always had some type of smoker, some type of grill, so I've always done that. But it wasn't until I started working in these kitchens that I kind of got the bug to take culinary to another level. And so I started cooking and messing around in kitchens, and then I eventually went to culinary school.
Okay.
Yeah, at the Art Institute of Dallas. So my career kind of took off more as far as cooking. I was an executive chef for a while. Then I kind of progressed into a food service director, but all the while still barbecuing, still smoking. And then in about '06, I think my wife and I kind of started doing it professionally, catering, event vending. I got I like to say I was doing pop-ups before pop-ups were
It
cool.
sounds
I
like it. No, I think when I was reading, I'm like, he's been doing this a long time.
Yeah, so back in '06, man, I bought my first trailer smoker, and it was like a water heater. It was super thin. And that's when I really knew that I really had something because, like I say, this was '06. It wasn't a lot of people pulling trailers around Fort Worth then. Me, and one other guy that I can really remember. And I would take that thing to the Wedgwood Shopping Center because my wife was a hairstylist over there at a salon. And so this shopping center has like Dollar General, a Harbor Freight, like a bunch of different little shops, auto store, a shoe store, the salon, and I would park this little thin smoker, man, and people would line up all the way down the walkway
That's
just to get some of the barbecue, and I was selling out every day. I mean, every time I pulled over there on weekends because I was working at the hospital.
yeah.
So at first, when I first bought it, my wife was like, "Are you crazy? What are you gonna do with that?" Well, so I bought it, and she saw it after a couple of weeks. She was like, "Okay, this is junk. You need to buy a real one." I was like, "Seriously?" She was like, "Yeah, you need to buy a real one."
Oh wow.
So I bought my first real 250 back in '06, and I would pull to the same shopping center, and I would sell out. And then she moved to another salon, and then right down the street, my buddy had a barbershop, so I would rotate between the two. And the police would actually pull over and be like, "Hey, I want to get a sandwich, but you need to move because you're like." I mean, it's on a major street like Crowley Road and Fort. They're like, you're impeding traffic. You got cars stopping in the middle of the street. You're gonna have to find somewhere else to park to where you can get these people off the street.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and like I said, this was '06, '07, so we did that, and then she told me that pit's not big enough. You're selling out too fast. You need another one, and so she got fully on board.
Wow.
So I bought a 500.
Wait, 1 second, Dirk. I hate to interrupt. Where were you getting these pits from? Who was building these?
So at the time, I was getting these pits from a guy named Don Williams. He's in Joshua, Texas, and you can look him up on YouTube. He calls himself Chisholm Trail Barbecue Smoker.
Okay.
Little one-man operation, older guy. But man, he at the time he was keeping me working. He was he builds these pits and he still builds them to this day, and they're pretty damn good smokers. So I was getting these pits from Don, and then like I said, I got a 500, and things took off with it. And then we were like, okay, we need bigger venues, so we started.
Wow.
Yeah, I built a profile on Texas mobile vendors or Texas vendors or something like that. And we started getting these calls to do all these festivals. So for years, we would do all these we would travel all over and do these festivals and fairs and different things like that with pop-up tents and tables and coolers. And in the meantime, I would just do these little pop-ups or these salons and these barbershops.
What was your menu back then?
Pretty much the same as it is now. Ribs, brisket, chicken, sausage are pretty much what I've always done.
Okay.
Little bolo from time to time. Well, smoked bologna. And
bolo. I've never heard it called bolo. That's cool.
Yeah, in Texas, around here we call it bolo.
Okay, cool.
So that's distinct terminology for smoked bologna.
Okay.
Sliced thick, and served on white bread. They call it a bolo sandwich.
Sounds delicious. It does sound so good. So at that time, were you? Because I'm going to jump ahead just for a second. You're called the rib god, right?
Slab god.
Slab god. God, I was thinking the whole day like how I gotta get it right. Slab god.
Man, to be honest, nobody calls me the slab god. That was something that I started as a joke. It was a hashtag on Instagram. It was a joke, and then it kind of just took off. I mean, people started eating my ribs, and they were like, "Okay, I see why they call you slab god." And I was like, nobody's actually ever called me slab.
That's hilarious. So you had a 250, a 500.
Yep, and then so after I had the 500, I actually had it modified because we were doing all these events, and I was like, okay, there's people out here selling all kind of food, and we're just stuck basically selling barbecue. We need to be able to do some other stuff. So I called Dunn, and I was like, hey, can you build me a water frame? I want to add some stuff, and then we can take basically the tank off and add it to the new frame. And he was like, yeah, what do you want to do? So I went over there and we drew some stuff up. And I've got a bunch of pictures of this. You can probably find them on my Facebook and my Instagram if you scroll down.
Yeah, I'll try to find them and put them in this.
So he actually built a water frame, and he put 3-compartment sink on it with water heaters and water tanks. He put a 6-burner commercial gas grill. Wow. He put 2 deep fryers. It had 2 huge burners where we could do crawfish boils and all that kind of stuff. And then he essentially mounted the smoker back onto the other side. So one side was all of that stuff, and then the other side was the smoker. So I started bringing my dad with me, we would do these events, and either he would run the smoker side or he'd run the other side, and then we would grill pork chops, hamburgers. We'd fry catfish.
Wow.
We do crawfish. We can cook our beans on site. We can make our potato salad on site, and at the same time we were competing as well. That's where I first met Chris and I think is that where I first met Chris and Ernie. I met Chris and Ernie back in about '06, '07.
Oh, back then.
Yeah, competing and stuff. And we would also take it to comps. And, if you've ever been to a barbecue cook-off, Friday night is a party.
Exactly.
So, so everybody would come to my tent, man. I'd fry catfish. We'd grill steaks. We do all kind of stuff. And I also tailgated for a long time at the Cowboy Stadium. And then I'd have 70, 80 people out there. I would charge $35 a person, all you could eat, all you could drink. And they would come out. Yeah, they would come out, man, and it was crazy.
This is so fascinating. You were doing it like in a big way before almost anybody, or back like when all when like the legends, like the people like the Toughies and the Myra Mixons, like all those people, when that was a real big world. You were wow, the 2006. So it must be really weird to see how things are today. Like it's so different. It's so crazy.
Yeah, so I kind of like over the last few years, I watched guys come onto the scene first year and just boom, blow up. All kind of articles and all this stuff from doing pop-ups, and I'm like, hey man, I've been doing pop-ups forever. Nobody else said a thing about it except the health department came and wrote me a ticket, or came one time and made me throw away a bunch of meat and still wrote me a $2,000 ticket for doing pop-up. And now these guys are getting away with murder and getting the articles written about it.
That's true.
But I was like, no problem. I shook this guy's hands. I urged them on. I wished them well. And I was like, when it's my turn, it'll be my turn. And I just sat back and I waited.
Yeah, no, and I guess that's really all you can do. And you were doing it. This was a full-time thing, right? You weren't doing anything else. Like you left the kitchens that you were working at, right?
No, I was still working. I was doing all of this on weekends.
Oh my god!
I was still working at the hospital, man. I've been working for the Baylor healthcare system for a long time, but I only recently quit. My business, my brick and mortar's been open now, 6 weeks? A little over 6 weeks. I quit 3 weeks before I opened is when I resigned from the hospital.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Oh wow. So what were you doing? Like say.
So 2 or 3 years ago.
Or like were you just doing? You were just doing the same thing. You were just continuing doing what you were doing.
I was taking holiday orders. I was still doing a few pop-ups, and I was still doing event vending 3 years ago. It wasn't until last year that I got the food trailer, and that was Panther City's old trailer. For years, man, I've been having people that wanted to invest, wanted to partner up, and I kind of just turned them all down because they wanted to be invested for the long haul. And I was like, no, I'll wait until I can do it on my own. Growing up, I told you how my background was, so I never had the greatest credit or anything like that. It wasn't until I got older that I realized the importance of credit and how to build credit and how to. So I was kind of a late bloomer in that aspect. So that's another reason I think it kind of took me a while to get out. Is once I got all that stuff straightened up, I felt like it was time. But then right before I could actually go finance or do anything like that, Panther City Chris called me. He was like, hey man, we're moving into Himes' old location. And he was like, I know you've been trying to get a trailer. He was like, we got this one available. We're not going to do anything with it if you want it. And I was like, cool. And man, those guys really gave me the shot to jump out there, because they were like, whatever you can afford to give us now is fine, and then whatever you can afford to give us a month, that's cool. So, man, I was giving these guys crumbs, in my eyes, crumbs every month, and they were cool with that. They were like, hey, just go ahead and do your thing, So those are my brothers, man.
Yeah, no, that means so much, and that's like the barbecue world is special, but that's very special.
Yeah, so I took that trailer, man, and I did just that. I ran with it. I went out there with it, and it just blew up. It was nuts. Like, we were selling out every time we opened the doors, 3 hours, 3.5 hours. It was crazy. I couldn't cook enough meat, and AJ built my smoker for that. We ran, and then a year later, here we are.
Were you called Smoke-A-Holics, and how did you get that name?
Yeah, I've been Smoke-A-Holics ever since my competition days.
Okay.
It's been Smoke-A-Holics BBQ since back in like 04, 05.
It sounds like a competition name, kind of. It does.
Yeah, so I don't know if you ever remember a group called the Barbecue Brethren.
Oh, of course. No, that's how I know, like Neil Strata, like all those guys, yeah.
So that's where I started. '02, '03. I was on the Barbecue Brethren.
I think I remember seeing you. I remember that the name
Yeah,
sounded so familiar because I used to
yeah,
go in that all the time. That was all we had, really.
yeah. So I was on the Barbecue Brethren back in '02,
Uh huh.
and that's kind of where the bug just that's where the flame just ignited. Yeah, and that's where I met Neil and a lot of these guys. So yeah, Neil's a good friend of mine, and he was down about a year or so ago. He did an event for Cabo Wabo in Dallas, and he called me, and I helped him out with that.
Oh, that's cool. I
But
didn't know you connected. Yeah, I was actually. He was actually my first interview for the YouTube and podcast ever. Like the very first person I talked to him, and then Daniel Vaughn. It was because Neil was the one. Like Neil, I've known Neil in LA for so long. I love him. Yeah.
yeah, that's my buddy, man. So that's where it all began with the Barbecue Brethren. I was having all kind of pits and smokers in the backyard and honing my craft way
Gotcha.
back then.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep. So I still have my Barbecue Brethren hat and banner at the house to this day.
That's nice. I would love to give them more love because I feel like there's so many people that got their start, and like a lot of people
Man,
these days don't even know about them.
very influential, man. In the beginning, some of the huge names out now were back on the Barbecue Brethren
Oh yeah, for sure.
forums.
And they were
Yeah.
so helpful. Like people get a lot of help nowadays from Facebook or from Instagram, and everyone in the community is really helpful. But that was the place. That was the go-to place, resource for everything.
Yep, before Facebook and before people had YouTube channels and way before Instagram was the Barbecue Brothers. That's a little login forum and bunch of laughs and noise talking and meetups and
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of pictures, man. Low quality photos at
so
that.
bad. Yeah, people would do road trips. Like I remember doing stuff. Yeah, it was really cool. Well then, so
Yeah.
Smoke-A-Holics. So Smoke-A-Holics was. How did you come up with the name?
My okay, so my name on the forum was Smoke-A-Holic, the Smoke-A-Holic. And I don't know, I guess it was kind of like I felt like I was addicted. I was addicted to barbecue.
Exactly.
Like I would sleep, if I was asleep, I was dreaming or thinking about something to do barbecue wise. If I was awake, I was on the forum. I mean, I was always it was barbecue, barbecue, barbecue. So I felt like I was addicted to barbecue. So an alcoholic is addicted to alcohol. A smokeaholic is addicted to smoke.
That's perfect. That's awesome. That's what I thought, but I wanted to hear you say it yourself. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got the trailer from Panther City. How did you find the location that you're at?
The one I'm at now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was what was I doing? I was at home one night and I would keep going online at night looking for commercial listings, and then this building popped up and it was this was in my neighborhood. I came here many a days and bought cakes and cookies, and my cousin used to live over here buying cakes from Miss Delisa Haynes. This used to be a bakery called Cakes by Delisa.
Okay.
And like I said, it's right in my old neighborhood, and it was man, she was a great lady, and this place was like a pillar in the community. Everybody came here from far and wide. I mean, people know this place from all over the city, not just on the south side of the city. People came from everywhere to buy cakes from her. So when I saw this building available, I was like, okay, I really don't want to start with anything too big. This is my first building. I'm doing it on my own dime. This is in my neighborhood, in my community. I know everybody knows where it's at, and it's the perfect size. In my price range, I was like, let me look into it. So I called the guy. We looked, and he was willing to work with me, man. When I say it's your time, it's your time. It was just my time. Like he made everything feasible and affordable for me. Called to try to get a grease trap put in, and my dad was like, wait a minute, Robert wants to talk to. Robert's a great friend of my family
Okay.
and a master plumber. And he was like, hey, we'll do the grease trap for you. We'll get that taken care of basically at their cost. I mean, it cost me a little more, but
Yeah.
not as much as it would have if I would have called another company. So everything just lined up. I got the construction done for a really reasonable price, and man, here we are.
Wow. What was that like that first day you were open?
Oh man, that first day was super emotional.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, the first day was super emotional because we had a ribbon cutting ceremony, and I expected, a nice crowd because I had already built a great crowd with the food truck and whatnot. So I expected a great crowd. I did not expect for people to be all parked all the way down to the next block
Wow.
and past the light. I did not expect for the line to be all the way down the sidewalk. And I did not expect to be emotional during that ribbon cutting, which I was, but it all happened. And man, for that first week, maybe the first 2 weeks, we were slammed. I mean, seriously slammed to the point to where I was almost overwhelmed. The second week, I told it wasn't even the second week. It might have been the fourth day. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I thought I wanted this, but this is too much. I said I can't do it. I'm ready to sell it all. I'm getting ready to go back to work.
No, but that's a very honest thing to say because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's perfect, but that's a lot to take in.
Dude, I was coming in at 5 in the morning. Well, I was getting up at 4. I was getting here right before 5 in the morning. By 11 o'clock, I had already been on my feet for 6 hours, prepping and getting meat done. And then I had to roll over to the cutting board and cut meat until we closed, and then still stay here and tend to briskets until they come off. So I
Oh,
was coming in at 5. That first 2 weeks, I wouldn't get out of here before 10 o'clock. I was coming in at 5 in the morning, getting out of here by 10, going home, getting a couple hours sleep, wake up at 4 to be back here at 5. I was like, nah, I can't. I can't do
yeah,
it.
it doesn't sound healthy.
Yeah, no, it didn't feel healthy. I mean, I was laying down at night and catching cramps and Charlie horses every 30 minutes. I told her, I said, I'm done. I said, I'm getting ready to go find me a job. And she was like, look at the bank statements. Look at the money we're bringing in. I was like, I don't care about that money. I'm done. And she was like, just give it some time. So I did. And the next week it got easier. And the next week it got easier. And we learned and we just switched and changed up some processes. So now I'm getting out of here every night, probably about right before the sun goes down, 7:30,
Oh, not
8
bad.
o'clock. Not bad. And I've plus then I've hired a couple of staff. So I got a guy now. I got a meat cutter, so I'm not on the board after we open.
Okay.
I've got a guy that preps meats and helps me do sides. And so now I'm able to float. I'm able to take care of my phone calls. I'm able to sit down and get
That's
off my
nice.
feet. I'm able to talk to customers. So now I'm glad she talked me out of quitting it.
We're all glad. We got to thank her. She's the one we need to thank. Wow.
Yeah, she's the reason we're here anyway, because I had got out, like I say, when I was working on my credit, I got all that situated and got the money built up in the bank account to buy a house because we were getting ready to buy our home. Our kids are big now, so we were getting ready to buy our forever home. And she was like, she came to me and she was like, you know what? Forget the house, get the restaurant. And I was
Wow.
like, are you serious? When she's always wanted this home. So I was really confused. She said, forget the house and get the restaurant. She was like, we can always buy a house. She was like, we have a house now. We can always buy a house. We'll buy a house next year. She was like, get the restaurant. So she's the reason we're here anyway.
Oh man, what a great story. This is like it gets better and better. That's like for people that haven't been. Can you explain the restaurant how it's laid out, and then also your menu? Because I know that it has different dishes than on a specific just a basic Central Texas style barbecue place.
Yeah, so the restaurant is small, man. It's only like 1,100 square feet. When you come in the front door, we've got a small little lobby area, and what we did was we built bar type seating around the
Okay.
walls to kind of make the best of the space that we had.
Okay.
And we got bar stools, so we can only seat 12 people in the lobby. There's well, actually, yeah, 12 people in the lobby, 6 on each side. We've got 6 bar stools on each side. We do have some picnic tables with umbrellas and stuff until it cools off. Because man, in Texas, we're still in triple digits every day right now. So that's it. You walk up to the window, pretty much like your standard barbecue restaurant. We have our menu there, and you order. And then it's either to go, or a lot of people take advantage and they sit out there and they eat in, or they'll eat in the cars or whatnot. We've got that, and then we got our little serving area, and then we come to the back, and we've got our kitchen, and then I got my pit room in the back, and that's pretty much it.
How many pits do you have?
I only have right now the 1,000.
The 1,000. That's that from AJ.
Yeah, that's from AJ, and that joker's been getting plenty of work. We've been filling it up, man, every day. So I called AJ the other day, and he was like, "Hey, I'm already on it." And I was like, "What?" He said, "I'm out looking for you another 1,000-gallon tank."
Oh,
And I thought
nice.
he was joking, but I talked to him later, and he said he was serious.
How great
He was
how
like,
great a guy how great a guy is AJ too.
"Man, AJ is great, man. Like I say, this is my second smoker from him, but even after the first one, before I ordered this one, we were still talking on the phone and messing around on text messages and Instagram. We just kind of became friends throughout the whole process. So yeah, that's a buddy of mine, man. Whenever he's on this side of town, he was like he was over here the other day. He delivered something to some. Oh, he delivered those tables to Panther City,
Okay.
and then he came over here and ate and hung out for a minute. So yeah, that's my buddy, man. Right now, like I say, we're just running at 1,000, but it's not gonna hold us for
No, it doesn't.
long.
It doesn't sound like it is. And you open at 11, right?
Yeah, we open at 11. We're supposed to close at 7, but a lot of times that doesn't happen. will be sold out before then. But as far as our menu goes, we have the Texas staples. We've got ribs, brisket. We do chicken halves, and then we have a regular smoked sausage, and we have a jalapeno cheddar sausage, and we have smoked turkey. So we do the smoked turkey breast. I think what kind of sets us apart is we do some different type of things. And I mean, I wouldn't say set us apart because everybody now has those one-off dishes. Everybody's doing
Yeah.
those one-off signature dishes. So we have a brisket nacho that's crazy popular, and then we do this thing called the Big Mac that Daniel Vaughn took a picture of and liked a lot.
Yeah, that was good. I was going to ask about yours visit. What's the Big Mac?
Not to be confused with McDonald's Big Mac, and the spelling is, don't come after me, McDonald's Corporation, because the spelling is not the same, and it is not a sandwich.
It's not a sandwich. No, it is not.
So the Big Mac is it's a bowl basically. It's a 16-ounce bowl, and it has smoked mac and cheese in the bottom. And then it has chopped brisket, and then it has sliced smoked sausage, barbecue sauce, and then it's topped with green onion. Man, that thing, we sell so many of those a day.
That sounds so good.
Started that actually on the truck.
Huh.
When I got the food truck, I was like, okay, we need some. I don't want to just do barbecue. It's a food truck, so we need some food truck type items. So I came up with the brisket nachos on the food truck. I came up with the Big Mac on the food truck, and then we started doing the loaded potatoes on the food truck. And we also would do, like when it was cold, I do a brisket chili, which I'm getting ready to bring back for the winter time. And we would do brisket Frito pies with the brisket chili. We would sell bowls of chili and cornbread or with crackers, and then they could get cheese and onion on those as well. And then we also did I would do like chili beans, like pinto beans, and we would serve beans and rice, red beans and rice bowls with smoked sausage in the wintertime.
Do you think you'll be doing those again, possibly? Like all those things you said?
Yeah, we'll be doing all of those things. I kind of do seasonal stuff, so in the wintertime, our desserts will change. Like right now, we've been running the sweet potato pie, the Coca-Cola cake, which everybody goes crazy for because it's not like anybody else's Coca-Cola cake. My wife does a different twist on it. So the Coca-Cola cake, the sweet potato pie, and the banana pudding is what we've been running all summer. And we can't stop either one of those or people will lose their minds. Yeah, we have people coming here every day and they'll order 10 Coca-Cola cakes. And I'm like, seriously? And they'll want 10 of them. 10 banana puddings, or can I buy a whole pie? So we're selling all our desserts. A lot of times people come in, they're mad because we're out of desserts.
You're going to have to open up a dessert shop next door or something.
Yeah.
Really? That's crazy. Are they ordering it for their office or something? Or?
Yeah, we got a lot of people come here for lunch. So when we open the doors, usually at 10:30, man, they're already out there, and they try to hurry up and get in and get back to work. We're only 6-7 minutes from downtown. Okay. So and we're 5 minutes from the medical district. So everybody comes over here for lunch.
Oh, you mentioned in like things that were side-ish. Do you have specific sides too?
So we have the smoked mac and cheese every day. That's something that we have to have.
Everything you have to have.
It makes a couple of our dishes, and if we didn't have it, people would lose their mind. But we have the Cajun cream corn, we have collard greens, we have our baked beans, we have our potato salad. I do a cucumber and tomato salad. I do broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole. Wow. Fried cabbage. But all of those kind of vary. The only thing that's a constant is the baked beans, the potato salad, the mac and cheese. Okay. We do some Southern style green beans as well. Usually on Wednesdays and Saturdays we'll have the collard greens, and the other 2 days of the week it's a toss up as to what we may have. You just have to kind of come in and see.
So I could see why you have a lot on your plate. That's why it got stressful those first couple of weeks too, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, my wife actually does those desserts, and then like I say, I only do make 4 to 5 sides a day.
That's smart. Yeah.
All of the sides, like I say, aren't available every day, but all of those meats are. We're doing all of those meats plus rib tips. So I do rib tips, and that's something that nobody else in Fort Worth is really doing. They probably will be in a minute because I've been getting. So I've been picking up a little notoriety from it. So I'm sure rib tips will be on somebody's menu here soon. But for the last few years, I've been doing rib tips for like at least the last 5 years, and I've been kind of alone after with it. So those are huge and really, really popular. I think that's about it as far as anything that's different. from what anybody else is doing.
No, but it's everything that you do has your own touch, and it seems like there's a lot of different things, and it does have that kind of. There's a little bit of like of you have Cajun mac. You said what Cajun corn is that what you said?
Cream corn,
The cream.
Cajun cream corn. Yeah.
Yeah,
So my all of my sides are pretty much soul influenced. So
yeah. I was gonna say a lot of soulful influence. Yeah,
yeah. So that's if my sign outside reads Texas barbecue with a soulful twist, and that's what it is. And I kind of came up with that. We were joking actually. We were sitting around. Me and a couple of other pitmasters were sitting around, and I was like, "There's an influx of Tex-Mex pitmasters. You know, everywhere
tons.
you look, barbecue in Texas is Tex-Mex." And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, there's other guys out right now who aren't Mexican at all, and they're doing Tex-Mex barbecue. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stick to what I know.
Hmm.
And then they were like, well, what do you do? What's your thing? And I was like, well, I've always cooked soul food, and my sides are still pretty much soul food influenced. And then they was like, well, there you go. And I was like, jokingly, I said Tex Soul, and they were like, that's it. That's it.
That
And I
is
said,
it.
yeah.
That is it.
Yeah, so I was like, it's not Tex-Mex, it's Tex-Soul. And I kind of coined that phrase. So if I had to, in a nutshell, say what mine was, it's Tex-Soul.
What was it? What was it like having, like as we mentioned before, Daniel Vaughn stop by? What was that? He's come by a couple times, hasn't
Yeah, he was by, what was it, week before last. He popped up on me. That day was not great. The night before. So 2 nights before, I had 2 hours sleep. And then that next morning I came in, and my dad usually comes in around 8, and he mans the pit so that I can get everything else done. Well, that morning something happened with my mom. My dad didn't show up. So I was manning the pit, and I'm trying to get stuff together in the kitchen. And what had happened was we didn't prep meat for that day because I expected my other guy to show up and we get meat on early. He didn't show up. So no, it was just me here. I'm trying to prep briskets. I'm trying to prep ribs. I'm trying to get all the meat on, plus the sides going, and it just didn't happen. So I had to power cook that morning. And anybody that's runs a smoker knows what power cooking is. I had to run the temp up. So I'm running 375-degree temp, trying to get stuff done by the time the doors open. Have to wrap early so you don't get the color you're looking for. But the doors open at 11.
he? Yeah,
So
you have no
I
choice.
I had to do what I had to do. So that's what I did. And I got the doors open at 11. Food was ready. Wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. Still tender, still good, but not the color on any of the meats that I wanted. And the turkey was a little dry. And then I'm over there cutting meat, and then I heard somebody ordering, and the voice sounded familiar, and I looked up, and it was Daniel Vaughn.
Of course, of course.
And I was like, oh, man. So he ordered his food. I heard everything he ordered. So my dad was pulling meat off. I immediately went to the kitchen, told them what was going on. Now, my dad is old school, and most of the staff here, they're just working here. The one guy I have, he's from the Culinary School of Fort Worth. He's never really been into a barbecue restaurant or in the barbecue scene, so nobody but me knows who Daniel Vaughn is.
Yeah.
So I'm in the kitchen trying to explain to them who Daniel Vaughn is, and they're looking at me like a madman because I'm slinging ribs everywhere trying to find one with the right color. I've cut into 3 different briskets trying to find the right moisture and the right bark. I mean, I got stuff everywhere on my cutting board out front, just trying to make him a decent tray. I made him a tray. I got it out, and lo and behold, he liked the food. He liked the food.
Yeah, he really liked it. Yeah.
And where my meat cutting station is, I have a window unit directly in front of the cutting board, and that AC blows, man, ice. And I was sweating bullets standing right in front of his AC the whole time he was here.
That's
I
hilarious.
couldn't breathe.
Oh.
So he walked up to the counter and he was like, "Hey, man, that was good." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." I'm, okay, he's just telling me that because he's here. He getting ready to go. He said, "No, that was really good." And I said, "Oh, okay, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it." Blah blah blah. And he was like, "Okay, I'll talk to you later." And he left. So after a while, I started getting all of these. My phones just started going off, notification. I'm like, "What is going on?" I started getting all these followers on Instagram, and people texting me, telling me that he posted on Twitter, that he was on Facebook, that he was on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
They was like, if he didn't like it, he wouldn't do that.
He doesn't.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe he did like it. Then I'm thinking that's it. Maybe I'll see him in a year or so. Next week, it messaged me and said, "Hey, you gonna be around the restaurant?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I want to come through and do an interview." And I was like, "Okay, great." So he came back, and I fed him again, but this time everything was on like it had always been since we opened the doors. And he was like, "Wait a minute, last time the food was good." He said, "But this time it was great." He was like, "What happened?" So I told him this same story, and we laughed. And
Oh, that's so funny.
he was like, "I wasn't gonna say anything last time." He said, "But this is the turkey that I was looking for because I saw the pictures and you could tell it was moist in the picture, and I saw the color in the pictures." And he said, "This is the turkey." He said, "Last time the turkey was a little dry." And I laughed because I knew it was. I really didn't want to serve it to him, but he ordered it, so I served
Yeah,
it.
you had no choice.
No, it worked out, and apparently he's got an interview coming out later this week in the monthly. So we'll wait for that. I had Fort Worth Weekly out today. Take some photos. Supposedly I have an article in there tomorrow. I won't divulge too much, but look tomorrow for the Fort Worth Weekly.
Okay.
And should get a good surprise from there.
Wow, that's great. Well, I'll try. I won't, because I respect Daniel and he's come back twice. He's actually eaten your food. I'll try to put this out like a day after his goes out.
Yeah.
Because he deserves everything he's done. He's the
Exactly.
guy. I love like everything he's done for barbecue. But it's not. I'm not going to scoop him. But I can't wait to get my interview out with you, because I want people to see who you are and hear your story, because like your story is an unlikely story in certain ways to where you are right now.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of feel like the new kid on the block, but at the same time, I'm really the old guy. So I'm
I
like,
don't get, yeah, I think that's also too why I want to get this out, so some of those people can say, "Oh, okay, he's put in the effort. You put in the time and the hours."
that's what I think that's missing. I think a lot of, and it's easy. I'm not gonna say it's missing because I'm not gonna take anything from anybody. I know some of these new guys are coming out, and man, I've eaten some of the food. It's killer.
Yeah.
But I just think that they have a roadmap that we didn't have.
True. No, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back when we were doing the barbecue brethren, there was I couldn't go to 10 pop-ups and taste outstanding barbecue.
No.
I couldn't just ride down the street and there be, okay, so this is what the bark is supposed to look like. This is what the tenderness is supposed to be. This is what they're looking for. There was nobody, so they've got a roadmap. They got a cheat sheet.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, they've got a cheat sheet.
Well, and people also too are traveling to Texas and then taking it to other cities across the United States, and they're putting out amazing barbecue. And they also have things like Aaron Franklin and his book, and the masterclass, and the PBS show, and there's a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of resources and all the YouTube stuff that you didn't have any of that.
Nope. And actually, after the forum, when was it? I was watching Pitmasters like the first season. And I was like, man, it would be cool if there was some competitions or something around here like that I could go to, and this and that. And then something just told me to get on the computer. So I got on the computer, and that's when I found the IBCA. That same day, there was a competition in Irving, and I jumped up and got in the truck, and I went.
Oh, wow.
And I had never been to a barbecue competition. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And I'm thinking Pitmasters is just a TV show. Like, people don't actually do this.
That's so funny. That's so weird. That's so great.
I went on the computer and I found the IBCA, and I went to Irving Elks Lodge, and they were having a cook-off. And I walked up, and at first I was taken back because there was about 600 to 700 people there. And before I even walked up, I looked, and there was nobody black. I was like, okay. I'm the only black guy out here. I'm like, all right, I'm cool. So I walked up, and I kid you not, there was this big white guy, man, about 350 pounds. He had a long white beard with rubber bands all the way down, and he didn't have on a T-shirt under his overalls. And he said, "Hey, boy, come here." And I say, "Huh?" He said, "I'm talking to you, boy. Come here." And I'm like, "Okay, here we go." Yeah. So I walked over to him. He was like, "I want you to try something." And he went over there, man. He pulled out the prettiest rack of ribs I'd ever seen. And he said, "You drink beer?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Reach in the cooler. Get you one of those cold ones." He said, "I want you to try something." And he cut me out for rib. And, man, I stood there for about 45 minutes, and we had a hell of a conversation. I drank about 2 beers. I ate about 3 ribs. And then I went on my way. And every tent that I passed by, people called me. They wanted me to taste something. They wanted me to. By the time I got to the guy that I was going to actually see, I was drunk and full.
That's so great. That's hilarious. But that's the barbecue world. That's that barbecue world.
That was my first encounter with the barbecue community outside of the forum. And man, I was sucked in. I was sucked in at that point. And it wasn't even 3 weeks later I was competing. And I did it for some years. Never really took home any grand prizes or grand champions or any major purses, but we had a bunch of fun and spent a lot of money. For sure.
Of course, you spend a lot of money. That's how, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. It's so much fun. It's a great that lifestyle. You could understand why people love to do it year after year.
Yeah, but I said that to say this. At that time, I thought, man, that I knew everything there was to know about barbecue. I thought I was putting out a killer product. Man, I went there and when I tasted that stuff, I came I say my stuff is trash. I'm literally putting out garbage. When I tasted some of the stuff they had there and I saw the product that they had, so that was my first time actually being able to compare my stuff to anything real.
Interesting.
You know, it was you couldn't go to like I said the pop ups or it wasn't a bunch of restaurants around here at the time. So cook-offs is where we kind of honed our craft. You know, a lot of us.
Oh, that's so crazy. And then your barbecue now is probably a lot different than it was even back then too.
Oh yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different. Like I say, when uh you know back then it was all foil, now it's butcher paper, and things have just changed so much. Back then, I mean, you had bark, but not bark like bark wasn't. There wasn't an emphasis put on
Yeah, it
bark
wasn't
like
so
it is today.
predominant. Yeah,
Yeah, as far as brisket says, the resting period wasn't, as long as people recommend now, and the trimming is crazy now, and it
yeah,
wasn't so much back then. It's
it's
a lot, man.
yeah.
It's changed a lot. So I guess you could say it's technically craft barbecue, which I've never really liked the word craft
No,
barbecue. I can understand that because as far as the trimming goes and a lot of the processes, I can understand why people call it that. But I'm like, if we're doing craft barbecue now, well, what were people doing 15, 20 years ago? I mean, was that just trash or garbage? So
yeah.
I don't like to use the word craft and try to make it seem like my barbecue is any more elevated than those who came before me. I'm just trying to cook a good product and keep some consistency with it.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and I want to end this on this note because I'm proud of you. Like you've done like, and it feels like we've maybe known each other in a kind of a past life in that whole barbecue brethren thing. I'm excited for what you're doing, and I'm excited for the future for you, and I can't be prouder. And thank you for taking this time and for sharing your story. I so appreciate it. People are gonna love it. I know they're gonna love it.
No problem. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share it.